The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hi, this is Mia Mohsen Zia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People, based upon a real-life relationship, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon. Do read it. I'm sure you'll love it. It's www.miamohsenzia.com and www.amazon.com/Mia Mohsen Zia.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention The Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, on over 25 podcast platforms, including Amazon and Audible. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel and follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful lady who grew up in Dallas, Texas. She's an author and entrepreneur, and she's got a book out right now that's very, very compelling. She overcome many problems in her teen years and ran a successful business with her father in Dallas. And one day, the feds came in and took everything away, and she'll tell more about it and how she managed to overcome. And the one incident happened to expose loopholes in certain laws as well, too. We'll talk more about that, and she's been dodging bullets for years and knows how to fight back. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plush Studios in beautiful Dallas, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, author and successful entrepreneur, Amy Herrig. Amy, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Well, it's great to have you on board. So you have a very, very amazing story, and it's also very compelling as well, too. You overcame problems in your teen years with heroin addiction. You later ran a successful business with your father called the Gas Pipe Stores in Dallas, and you sold all of counterculture products. You sold, lights, incense sticks, pipes, bongs, roach clips, and just about everything else. And it was a pre-CBD back then. And then one day the federal agents came in and raided, took away everything. And this also exposed a loophole in certain laws, and talk about that. And in a book, it's called No More Dodging Bullets, and just tells about how those changes just made an impact, turning things around and more. And before we get into all that, tell us how I first got started.
How our business first got started?
Well, first, how you got started, then your business.
How I got started. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Grew up with great parents, wonderful, happy childhood filled with lots of love and attention and, really everything a person could want. I did have parents that were hippies and counterculture and ran this kind of off the beaten path business, but it ended up being really, really successful. And then when I was a senior in high school, my world kind of turned upside down for the first time when my parents divorced, and I just didn't handle it super well and found myself in a destructive, abusive relationship with someone we call to this day the bad news boyfriend, and it was just a bad perfect storm situation in my life. And that's when the drugs and heroin addiction came in. And I was really lucky and grateful to make it through that, and seemingly picked up the pieces of my life and moved forward, got married for the first time, had my wonderful children, began working with my father in my 30s, running all of the businesses. We had multiple businesses at that point, and we were expanding pretty quickly as well. And did get a divorce, and then married the love of my life, and everything was seemingly great and wonderful and perfect, except we sold a product that was actually being sold nationwide at all sorts of businesses, not even just counterculture businesses, mainstream gas stations, convenience stores, online. And it was mislabeled. That was actually the ultimate charge, which is I shouldn't say that's the ultimate charge. That was the actual ultimate crime that was committed, which is a misdemeanor. But before we got it all whittled down and determined that we hadn't done everything we were accused of, we were slapped with a 17-count federal indictment threatening life in prison, every single asset we owned down to the pennies in our cash registers taken. And my whole world changed forever.
Mm-hmm. And how was it mislabeled as you talked about? It's like, was there a misunderstanding on your part, their part, or how was it mislabeled?
There was no real misunderstanding with the product. It was called potpourri or herbal incense, and it looks like potpourri that you would like put in a sachet or in a drawer. Unfortunately, a lot of people bought it and smoked it because it did have a substance on it that was not an illegal substance, but that people could smoke and get high. So it wasn't labeled as something that someone would smoke and get high. And so that was the discrepancy, if you will. So, but no warning, no cease and desist. And it's not like we were a hidden, business or drug cartel that couldn't be found. We had 14 retail stores open to the public that anyone could come into at any time. And the product was sold with all of our other thousands of products that we sold. And so, they, out of the blue, this just all happened. And the interesting, I think, and compelling part, or one of the compelling and interesting parts of my story, is that people, I think, need to understand that if this could happen to us, it could happen to you. I mean, our government will do things like this to people. I was pretty naive and had blinders on about how things really worked. And not only did it change my life from a spiritual and, made me a better person standpoint, and I learned a lot about myself, but it also really opened my eyes to our justice system and our government and how really complicated and sort of backwards and messed up those things are. And it shouldn't really be that way, because we're supposed to live in the land of the free, and we're supposed to have this thing called justice, and it shouldn't be such an unattainable process.
Mm-hmm. And was this raid similar to other raids of similar nature in Texas and nationwide, or was this something that was completely different because you guys were successful?
Yeah, so I definitely do think that made us a target. We were a very successful business. They, meaning the government, had had their eye on my father for a while, off and on over the years, because he started his stores back in the 70s, and then you had the 80s with the big drug and just say no campaigns. And so smoke shops or head shops, or what these types of stores were known as back then, were kind of looked down upon by the government. And, this day and age, everything we sell in our stores can be bought on Amazon. So it's not as counterculture as it used to be. And we diversified our product line a lot. I mean, we're not just a smoke shop. We sell all kinds of products. But yeah, so he'd been really successful over the years. And while there were a lot of little small convenience stores selling this product, they didn't have the major, huge amounts of assets to seize and forfeit. So there was a big enticement for the government in that regard. The bigger gas station chains like Valero's and Shell's and things like that were also selling this product actually did get a letter from the DEA asking them to pull the product from their shelves, but we never got any such letter.
That is interesting how they just went after the big guys, little fish, and they seem to have different rules. And with the legalization of marijuana, CBD, cannabis, and everything else, would it be safe for you to run the stores in a similar way right now?
You mean run them the way we currently run them versus how we used to run them?
How you used to run them? Would you be willing to do it today with the legalization of marijuana, CBD, and everything else?
Yeah, we don't sell anything in our stores for any illegal purpose. I mean, that's how things have always been sold, and they all have a legal purpose, and that's how anything in our stores is sold even today. We actually don't sell CBD in our stores. We get asked for it a lot. Legally and technically, there's a little bit of a gray area still in there, because the CBD has to have a certain percentage of THC, and you have to test it to find out if it doesn't have more than that in there. And I mean, I'm in Texas, so different states have different laws as well. So due to our unfortunate 5-year legal battle that disrupted our lives and disrupted a mild work, we're staying away from that right now, but we still sell all of our other products. So.
And one more thing before we go to your business. What's the current laws and regulation in Texas regarding marijuana, and how much percentage of CBD or THC are you allowed?
So my understanding is CBD products, even at the federal level, well, I don't know. I guess it is a little different state by state, because we have this big federal marijuana law, right? But every state gets to enforce it differently right now, and that's even a gray area. But I believe it's 3% or less that's supposed to, the THC containment in the CBD products. Texas is, a pretty conservative state. There's a big movement here, a lot of talk about moving towards legalization, but I don't really see it on the radar yet. I think the first step will be decriminalization, and some cities have already sort of adopted that. It's my understanding they have, or it's like up to the arresting officer. And so it's better than it was 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, but I think we still have a long way to go in that endeavor, and it'll be interesting to see what this next election brings about. I mean, I don't know why at this point we wouldn't legalize it and just tax it and get out of this economic dump that we're in, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right, exactly. We'll talk about that next time as well, too. When you have another book, other ventures, we can talk about that as well, too. And you also have had some other ventures, and tell us more about those.
Yeah, so when I was just graduating high school and the divorce happened and everything, my dad, he'd always been an avid fly fisherman, and he started looking at property in Alaska, and he started that. And then when I got my act together, and got rid of all the negative stuff going on in my life with the bad news boyfriend and the drugs, I went up there for the first time, and it was just another life-changing experience in the most positive way possible. There's no place like Alaska. I've been really fortunate to travel many places in the world, and it's my favorite. It really is the last frontier, God's country, just this pureness and this vastness that you don't find anywhere else. And so I slowly took on more of a role in those businesses as well. And then, in 2013, we bought another existing group of lodges that had properties in Bahamas and another one in Alaska. And so we were able to expand, and we have property in Patagonia also. So Yeah, that's a real blessing to have that, and it's a lot of fun.
That is amazing, too. I'll talk about your book, No More Dodging Bullets, and how you overcame these obstacles. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author and entrepreneur, along with mother, wife, and business owner, lifelong Texan, Amy Herrig, talking about the book No More Dodging Bullets here on the Mike Wagner Show. We talked about what happened with the gas pipe stores in Dallas, along with her father, and the unfortunate raid by federal agents taking away the business, money, and more as well, too. And also wrote a book about No More Dodging Bullets. And tell us more about the book, No More Dodging Bullets, and what inspired you to write it.
Well, it's my life story. It's my memoir, and I had always thought it would be interesting to write a story about my life and my parents. And, my dad's a Vietnam vet, and he has his own great survivor story. And so I often thought that any book I wrote would be more about his life. And then the last 5 years happened, or I guess it's been 6, almost 7 years now, wow, in my life. And that really became the catalyst for telling my family's story and my story, and just our journey that we went through with all of this upheaval. And I thought it was just important to share my story, not because I was so narcissistic and obsessed with myself that I thought my story needed to be told, but I think it's important to educate people, like I was saying earlier, about our legal system and our justice system, and how that really works. And also, it's a story of survival and overcoming the odds. In the midst of the legal battles, I had a whole nother battle with a devastating medical diagnosis. And so it was one bullet, metaphorically, after another that I was really fortunate to dodge. And it's not really, I don't think, because of anything I did per se. It was just, a little bit of luck, and a little bit of hope, and a little bit of faith. And I just want to share that with people, especially right now. I mean, who knew COVID and all this was going to happen? But I think we all need to hear stories of people making it through something when they feel like all is lost. I love hearing stories like that. It helps me to believe that, anything's possible. Mm-hmm. So that's my hope in sharing my story.
Mm-hmm. And also, do you talk about your medically altered conditions as well, too? It sounds like cancer. You can just tell us about that. And there's some cancer survivors out there, and they would love to hear your story.
Yeah. So in the middle of facing life in prison and going through going through and thinking and feeling my life was going to be completely over, I got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And so that was a curveball. I was 42, no family history. So that was just another thing to add to this completely unbelievably stressful situation that was already going on in my life. But in a way, and this will sound kind of bizarre if you don't read my entire story, but cancer kind of saved me in a way. It gave me this will to truly live, instead of just getting up every day and going through the motions. And it gave me something to fight for that I felt like was more attainable. I write about this in my book, going to a trial and having my fate in the hands of 12 strangers in a jury box. That's scary and unpredictable, to say the least. But fighting cancer, it's scary, and it's overwhelming, and it's exhausting, and it's sad, and you have all these changes, and you think about, if you don't prevail, it's terminal. But there's science, and there's statistics, and there's doctors that can give you probabilities. And so it kind of got me out of my funk that I was in because of the legal mess, and it kind of woke me up, and I was like, okay, here's something that I can maybe beat, and it kind of re-energized me once I got over the initial shock and all the trauma and the exhaustion. But
And any plans of a follow-up book, or maybe do like some podcasts or anything like that, or maybe another business, or can we expect another book from you sometime in the future or something similar?
yeah, I would love to write another book in the future. I kind of every day look at what's going on in my life and think about how that could fit into another story, or what I might want to share with the world at a different point. And a podcast, anything like that. I think about all of those things. My desire is to connect with people and not just share my story, but hear other people's stories, because I think that's how we really learn and grow in this world, is by communicating and connecting with one another.
And that's amazing too as well. And where can we find your book at?
You can go to my website, amyherrig.com, and there's links to purchase my book on there. And I also have a blog on there. I try and do about a post a week, and it's about social issues and justice reform and anything kind of going on in the world. And then you can also go to Amazon, and my book's available there.
We will check that out in just a few more minutes with Amy Herrig, author and entrepreneur here on The Mike Wagner Show. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com. It's powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author and entrepreneur Amy Herrig of No More Dodging Bullets here on the Mike Wagner Show, and you talked about some of the changes in the law that after what happened. What are some of the other changes that took place in the law after what happened? And it also exposed a loophole into certain laws as well, too. Maybe just give us some insight on that.
Yeah, so the big law, kind of the umbrella of what the government was using to charge us with everything, was a subsection of the Controlled Substance Act called the Analog Act. And I think most people kind of know about the Controlled Substance Act. I mean, that's basically what makes controlled substances illegal. Heroin, marijuana in some states, and federally, cocaine, etc. But in the early 80s, the government added this little subsection called the Analog Act that allowed for something that is substantially similar to a controlled substance to be considered illegal if the government wants to decide basically to prosecute it as illegal. And it's kind of a messed up thing, because the government also has the ability to emergency schedule any substance they want. They post a notice and it's scheduled, it's an emergency schedule, and then it can be officially made illegal, a month later, a year later, however long it takes them. So this Analog Act thing was kind of this catch-all thing. It was, I think, kind of came about as a result to some of the drugs in the 80s, like ecstasy and stuff. There's a whole history behind it. So they tried to say that the product we were selling and the substances that were on it were analogs. But and I won't bore the listeners with all the scientific jargon in this, but there are all these also criteria of what makes something substantially similar. And then the real crux of it is, what does substantially similar even mean? Like, you're a human being and I'm a human being. So are we substantially similar, or are we not, because you're a man and I'm a woman? And I mean, that's what it comes down to with these chemical compounds. So the Analog Act is very hard to enforce, and about right around the time we got indicted, there was a Supreme Court case heard on it that even made it more difficult for them to enforce. But the government forged ahead with us and didn't really change their course of action. And so, under charging us with selling controlled substances per the Analog Act, they threw in money laundering and running a controlled or a drug premise, and just all these charges just to really up the ante. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what happened. And then at the end of the day, it's just, they also charged us with mislabeling a product with the intent to defraud the FDA. And that's ultimately what we were convicted of. And that's ultimately what we're appealing, because it was mislabeled, but that's a misdemeanor. But defrauding the FDA is a felony, and the FDA wasn't even on our radar, but that's a whole different story. Once again, the FDA has a policy that they send cease and desist letters if you're doing something they don't like. We never got a letter. We never got a warning. We never got anything.
Mm-hmm. And what changes would you like to see in the system?
I would like for laws to be easier to understand, right? Like the average citizen doesn't understand technical legal jargon. I certainly don't. And I've been drugged through the system. I read motions that get filed back and forth in our case, and I'm just like, I have to decipher this. It's like reading hieroglyphics sometimes. The law shouldn't be that complicated. I know that's why we have attorneys and we have people to advise us to work our way through it, but then that brings a whole nother problem to it. Attorneys are really, really expensive, good ones especially, and we were really fortunate to be able to fight our way through it and navigate our way through the justice system. Even with having everything seized, we were able to operate our businesses. It was like starting over from ground zero. But most people can't do that. And that's why they take plea deals. And that's why they get sentences that aren't fair or reasonable, because they don't have proper representation and they don't understand the charges they're facing and why. And it shouldn't be that complicated of a process.
Mm-hmm. And of course, with your adventures as well too, and what can everybody learn from this whole ordeal?
I think what people can learn is, first, you can overcome anything with enough positive attitude and determination and faith and hope, and just understanding that maybe it's not going to work out the way you want it to, but it's going to work out maybe in the way that, your higher power or God maybe intends it to be. I also, though, want people to understand our justice system and that it's not a fair place. It's really not. It's designed for people to fail. And our prison system is a whole nother, subsection of that, we incarcerate people and we don't rehabilitate them. And then we throw them back out in society with no plan, no safety net. And it's interesting. It's being talked a lot about in this election, but we'll see what ultimately happens with that. But I want people to understand how our country really works, because I think they might be kind of surprised.
Mm-hmm. And you also provide an outlet as well too that you volunteer on a regular basis, and you found the not-profit Hopeful Tuesdays. You can just talk about that.
Yeah. So. Like I said earlier, the whole experience was eye-opening for me and really changed my life. And I had always had a really privileged life, and I thought I was giving of, money and to charities, and I was, but I wasn't ever a stingy person. But I think I was probably a little judgmental, and I didn't really understand what many people had gone through and why a person was homeless. It's not just because they're lazy and don't want to work. I mean, that might be some of them, but the vast majority of them are mentally ill or have been in prison or have just really gotten down a wrong path in life that they can't get back on without any help. So long story short, after befriending a couple of homeless people, this thing really blossomed and happened organically, where I run a whole nonprofit in the back of our warehouse office building. Now I have a wonderful team now that helps, and we serve food and provide showers and hygiene and laundry and clothing. And counseling opportunities and all sorts of resources 4 days a week. So it's been a wonderful, really gift to me to be able to do it. It's changed my life and had a wonderful impact.
It sounds amazing, and it's a very wonderful impact and very hopeful as well, too. Where can we find more about Hopeful Tuesdays and about you and also your book? Where can we find you at?
Yeah, Hopeful Tuesdays has its own website. It's Hopeful Tuesdays with an S on the end.org. And that has a little more information about me on there as well. And then, yes, my website, Amy Herrig, I'll spell it AMYHERRIG.com. And that has everything about me, my book, my blog, a way to contact me.
Okay. All right. That's fantastic as well, too. Once again, author and entrepreneur Amy Herrig in the Mike Wagner Show. Are you still with us, Amy?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. You dropped out for just a minute. I just want to make sure I didn't scare you off.
Oh, sorry. No.
That's okay. I mean, we're having such a great conversation. We thought you had to tend to something. But anyway, just a couple of minutes with Amy Herrig on the Mike Wagner Show. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Biggest influence in my career? Wow. That's a tough one. I mean, my dad and my mom both have certainly taught me a lot over the years. I grew up with parents who ran their own business. So I, saw and heard everything, about what that takes to do that. So, I mean, that was definitely an influence from when I was a child. I work with my husband running our fishing lodges, and that is a huge influence in my life and career. He's taught me just a lot about communicating and navigating through situations, with employees or with, anything you might need to do at work with difficult situations. He's an incredibly patient man. And I think learning patience and better communication skills is something that anyone in life, but as an employer, those are really, really important things.
And that's very important as well, too. We're very happy for you. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point, Amy?
The best advice, I think, is to be kind to yourself and love yourself so that you can give that back to other people. And know that the world can be a hard, negative place, but if you can find positivity from within, you can share that with others as well. And that's really how I think we get out of this mess that we found ourselves in as a society, is just practicing a little bit more kindness and patience and hope and love with one another.
Mm-hmm. And that's very important as well, too. Once again, author and entrepreneur Amy Herrig on the Mike Wagner Show of No More Dodging Bullets. Amy, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Love you back on 2020 and beyond with some updates. And before we go, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? And where can people purchase your book? And also, what can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond?
The book and all the info about me is on amyherrig.com, AMYHERRIG.com. And from 2020 and beyond, I just hope to keep getting my story out there and learning about other people's stories and connecting with people so that we can all grow and learn together.
That is fantastic. Once again, Amy Herrig, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely great. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on 2021 and beyond. And make sure you keep in touch. We love to hear more inspiring stories.
Thank you.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.